How do we top Clayface? Hey everyone, welcome to Prince of the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 3 of Batman Capes Crusader. The last episode was so damn good. Like, they reinvented Clayface in a really great way that made just his character so amazing. And while it's not the same Clayface that was in the original animated series, apparently in the original animated series it was Matt Hagen. In this one, it's Basil Carlo, who is the same one, ironically, as in the Harley Quinn series. It's it still sells things really well. It's a different version of Clayface, and the way that they handled him, being this scorned actor and everything, was just so good. They took a character who's pretty silly and pretty over the top and made him very grounded. And that's something I really love to see. And I hope they do it with a lot of the other villains, a lot of the other rogues. So, who are we going to get this time? So, we've had Penguin, who was gender bent. We had Clayface, who was a lot more grounded and serious. So, who's going to be the next villain we touch on, and what are they going to be like compared to how they're typically portrayed? I'm very curious to see what more this series does with this kind of concept because it's been doing such a good job. And last episode also gave us Renee Montoya, a detective of the Gotham City Police, who is very straight laced, a very good detective, kind of on the up and up and everything. And not sometimes an unwilling ally to Batman, but more so she wants to catch Batman because she sees him as, a vigilante and everything. She's not usually as willing to work with him as, say, Gordon. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see where this kind of continues to go with this kind of relationship between them and how often they're going to have to work together, how much she's going to be trying to capture him herself, stuff like that. We also have the setups still for other characters like Harvey Dent. We have setups for Barbara Gordon. A lot of characters have been set up, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of payoffs we get for them. If we even get payoffs for all of them this season, because there's a lot still to come. So, yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of what more are we going to do, what other villains are we going to tackle, and how are we going to change them up to make them more exciting for a modern audience. I'm very hyped to see. This series has been fantastic, and I honestly believe it's going to continue being so. So, let us get on with today's episode, and hope that it continues this tradition of just really nailing this. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday, as well as Let's Plays. We currently alternate between Horizon Forbidden West and Baldur's Gate 3 every day, as well as have Nier Automata on Saturdays. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I do redirect all reactions just due to copyright. And on top of that, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content like this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So you may notice the lighting is quite a bit better here. It's not just because the lighting outside got better, which it did, but it's not just because of that. I actually did a little adjustment, and I think I figured out a way to make it a little brighter, a little more, a little better looking. So, yeah. Just wanted to point that out. This was another good episode, but I would actually say this is the weakest episode so far. Now, I love the stuff with Harley and Quinzel in here, and it's obvious they're setting up for Harley down the line. She's probably going to be one of, if not the big bad of the season. Just based on how much they're setting up for her here in this episode, how much the advertising of this season was centered around her. I'm thinking that that's probably going to be the case, which also makes me think that it's probably not. She's not probably not going to be connected to the Joker in this, which is very interesting. But considering this is supposed to be a very different take on Harley Quinn, that doesn't entirely surprise me either. The stuff with Harley in this, or Harleen Quinzel, was the best aspects of this episode. The Catwoman stuff I'm mixed on. I understand this is her when she's new to being Catwoman. She's still figuring stuff out. She's getting new stuff as she goes along, new tools, new gadgets. She gets a car. She gets a panther. She goes on the run and everything. It's like I understand that. This is a new Catwoman. She's not experienced, so she makes a mistake. She slips up. And I understand, but at the same time, it makes her a little less impressive when she's like literally tripping over her feet and everything and falling and getting like, like shot in the leg. Well, it grazes her, but still, you get the idea. It's less impressive, and it makes her come across as less of an actual issue to deal with. You know what I mean? I just wasn't as into how Catwoman was here. Like there were certain aspects that were great. Again, the actual gadgets and stuff, the panther, the cat obsession, the flirtiness. It's like that's all very Catwoman. The outfit is great. But the actual like personality and portrayal and just, the actual like it factor that Catwoman usually has is just not a thing here. And it's a little bit disappointing. It doesn't ruin her character, and this is by no means a bad episode. I want to specify that. And she's by no means a bad portrayal of this character. It's just not as good as I feel like I was hoping for with what the first two episodes gave us. The first two episodes definitely kind of influenced what I hoped would continue to happen. And this episode didn't quite live up to my, let's say, lofty expectations at this point. But again, considering how fucking good the first two episodes were, this was still a really good episode. It just wasn't as good. Yeah, I really like the style of everything with this being set in like the 40s, 50s, whatever it is. And having like Catwoman have like her own car and everything. The specific design of her outfit being a basically a fancy dress with a cowl. It's like stuff like that is like great. I absolutely love that. Um I'm not as huge into just her. I guess the issue is with her just being new. And that's kind of the flip up on her character here outside of, kind of being a rich kid, a spoiled rich kid, which is part of this as well. I don't think I've seen a portrayal of Selena Kyle where she's a spoiled rich kid. Because, like in Batman, it's Batman Returns. That's the one with Catwoman and Penguin, right? I believe so. I get some of those names mixed up. But in that movie, the Tim Burton one, Selena Kyle is kind of down on her luck. She lives in an apartment by herself with her cats. Actually, I think it might only be one cat at first, but she's a assistant to Max Shrek. She's really not that well off. And in most interpretations, she's really not. She's not super well off. There might be some interpretations from the comics or whatnot where she is more so. But at least for me, this is newer. This is kind of the twist on the character. Each villain has had sort of a twist compared to how they're normally portrayed. Again, the gender bent Penguin. You have the more grounded Clayface, and now you have a spoiled rich kid with Selena Kyle. Except she's, kind of down on her luck because all of her money is gone, but she's still, she is a spoiled rich kid nonetheless. And it's just with her being new at this and not being super confident or capable, it doesn't feel as much like Catwoman to me. The confidence and capability are part of what makes Catwoman so great, in my opinion. That's why... Just heard a noise outside, don't know what that was. But that's why I love, like, Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal in Batman Returns. The confidence is insane there. The sex appeal is amazing. But also you have her capability. Like, does she get hit? Does she get hurt? Yes. But she's more capable, even though she's also new at it there. And so it's like, I don't know, I just liked it. I just like it better when she is more capable. I have no problem with her getting hit. I have no problem with her trading blows or whatnot with Batman or the cops or whatever. It's just how she carries herself, I guess. That being said, I did love the fact that her maid in the end, Greta, sold all of the remaining shit she had just to go on a vacation, to quit and go on a vacation to the Bahamas, leaving Selena in prison. Like, that was so good, because Selena was a piece of shit to her the entire time. She hadn't been paying her, but even on top of that, it's like she was actively a piece of shit to her. She mistreated the hell out of her. It's a surprise Greta didn't leave earlier. I'm really surprised, like, genuinely, that she didn't leave earlier. But I'm glad that she did in the end. I'm glad she got to go on her vacation. Also, like, she's absolutely sleeping with Harvey Dent, right? Like, because she didn't have money to pay him off with. That was addressed. But he dropped the case. He dropped the, oh God. The charges. He dropped the charges against her. And, yeah, as Barbara pointed out, that is very unlike him. And Catwoman typically is a character who would sleep her way out of trouble. So I'm kind of wondering if her and Harvey are, like, sleeping together. Or at least did. So we did, like I said, get to see quite a bit of Harleen here. But she's not Harley Quinn yet. So I wonder how that's going to end up happening. We see that she's dealing with Bruce, who is, his walls are so high up, as she put it, that they're just kind of impenetrable, unclimbable, that she would have to have, like, a lot more therapy with him outside the court-mandated sessions in order to break down those walls or even get a crack in them. And unfortunately, he's not really willing to continue with the sessions because, as this episode made very clear with the flashbacks to his childhood and the Crime Alley incident, he's a kid still. And this is something that a lot of Batman properties don't show as effectively as this. And this is part of what I was talking about with the Harleen Quinzel therapy stuff being the best parts of this episode. Because the effectiveness of how much this shows that even as an adult, like, 25 years old, he is still a kid. He is just a big-ass kid who never grew up. This is a traumatized kid who watched his parents be shot in front of him, murdered in front of his eyes, and his trauma led to a desire for vengeance against criminals in general. He became so obsessed with this as a way to mend his trauma that he doesn't see anything wrong with him. He never got a chance to properly grow up, to properly become an adult. He's not well adjusted by any means. And he's just he still has this childish attitude on everything. And that's part of why I love Batman. Why he's my favorite superhero. Because not because he's cool, not because he's badass, but because he's damaged as fuck. That might sound really weird to say as being the reason why he's my favorite superhero, but I think that makes him such a fascinating, well-rounded character. I think it makes him come across as someone more real and relatable. Someone who is excessively fucked up, but refuses to acknowledge it, and instead takes out that trauma in a very unhealthy way. Like, he is very much handling this wrong. And the problem is most iterations don't showcase that properly. They just want to showcase how cool he is, how badass he is, how much of a great detective he is, in some rare cases. How cool his gadgets and stuff are. Or how cool the interactions between him and his rogues gallery are. That's what all these different iterations want to show off. All these movies, all these shows, the video games. They don't focus enough on his damage, on his pain, his trauma. Even the ones that make a very clear point of showing his past, of showing his, motivating moment, they don't focus enough on making it clear how absolutely fucked up he is. Like, he's trying to do good. He's trying to stop criminals because he doesn't want what happened to him to happen to others. And that's a good motivation. But the way he's going about it, the way he's doing this is wrong. It's not working. It's so fucked up. And I think that's what makes him such a fascinating character. And I'm so glad that this series is focusing on that here. And I hope it continues to do so. I hope it's not just a one-episode thing. Because this should be a notable, continuous part of who Batman is, who Bruce Wayne is. And I'm just, that's the kind of shit I'm excited for from this episode. So, like I said, it's still a really good episode. It gives me a lot to be excited about, a lot to be excited for with the future. I'm just not a huge fan, or not the biggest fan. I'm not as much a fan of the Catwoman stuff. I still liked it, just not as much by any means. Definitely the weakest villain portrayal so far. I mean, that could change, but I mean, if this is the low point though, then that's still a good sign, because if the low point is still like a 9 out of 10, that's a really good sign for this series. But tell me in the comments what you thought of this episode of Batman Caped Crusader, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.